Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It being 6:30, we shall begin this meeting of the Cabinet, and we will start by with the ritual reading of the fire evacuation procedure. There are no fire alarms scheduled for this evening, therefore if the fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the building immediately. The fire exits are located at the rear and side of this room, which presumably means at either end, and that way, because that way is the windows, and go down the stairs and meet in the War Memorial Park. Second item on the agenda is to receive apologies for absence. There are apologies from Councillor Mrs. Ostleton, who this morning at 8 o'clock became a grandmother for the third time, I think. At least it was her daughter's third child, so we assume that to be the case. And she is doing duty looking after the other two this evening, and we came to the conclusion that that's where the priority should lie. So congratulations to her, and to David as well, for becoming a grandfather. Declarations of interest? Anybody? Nope. Right, then member and public participation issues we will take, if we may, within the items as we go through. Confirm the minutes. You've all had copies of the minutes. Are you happy that I should sign those minutes? Agreed? In which case I will sign those later on and deal with them at a later stage, not to hold the meeting up. Urgent items there are none, but for once in a long while we have one referral from full council from the 21st of March on parks, playing fields and open spaces. There's no need to introduce this, but we do have one speaker on the subject, Councillor Keating. If you would like to come forward, Councillor Keating. And you will have, as usual, the 2 minutes, and away we go.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to see this in the order paper. It's right and proper that it should, because it was passed by a majority of the full council. I just wish to say a few small things, important, however, nonetheless. First, the intention behind this is not to create or to reinvent a new wheel. The wheel is already invented. The example which I believe is relevant and helpful is the existing arrangements in Reading Borough Council. They have addressed this issue, and they have come up with a series of protections which have been approved and implemented. And they have two criteria that I'm aware of that are significant. And one is that there is a register of such places, that those places are referred to in the local plan, and that each community will have a say in the event that anybody wishes to do anything about any parks, playing fields or open spaces that is on the register. So I would encourage you to just refer it, and I will hope to participate later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keating. You might as well stay there, because once we've dealt with this one, we're moving on to paper B, and you're the first speaker on that, so save getting up and moving around. Excellent. Good. Councillor Donnell, I think this falls within your portfolio.
Thank you, Leader. First of all, I'd like to thank the councillors for bringing this into the public realm. It is a motion that had support from across all sides at council, and but it also stretches over several different units of this council. What we are proposing is that we refer the land ownership side of this element, as the motion refers to our long-established parks, to EPP. And we then take the other element of it, the green infrastructure element, and ask both P&I, but particularly H&E, to comment on the draft infrastructure strategy, and I think this is this Thursday, in light of this motion. I think that's the sensible way forward because it sees it getting clogged up with committee guidance and committee calendars when reality the councillors on those committees are commenting around such related issues at that stage. I'll certainly be at H&E on Thursday. I look forward to that debate and the feedback from that, and I suspect I will see you there, Councillor Keating.
Anything else you would like to add, Councillor Keating?
Sorry.
Thank you, Leader. Just to say, it looks like it's going to P&I on the 30th then.
I think we'll need to look at the agenda for that, because the agenda is all very full. Oh, okay. That's already on there, is it? Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I never know whether to call you Chair or not, but nonetheless, Councillor Saunders, thank you. I'm not sure that the approach is correct, but I'm prepared to trust in the intentions, which is to take this forward positively and constructively. And even though I'm not on the committee, I just happen to have been substituted for Thursday. Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
sure they will be looking forward to seeing you. No. Moving rapidly on, items 9 and 10, there are none, or 11 for that matter. So we move straight forward onto item 12, which is the Investor Grow Opportunity Basingstoke Leisure Park. I will ask Councillor Jaya-Wardner to present the paper, and then the first speaker will be yourself.
Thank you, Leader. This administration has made a clear commitment to transforming the town for business, shopping and leisure. Millions of pounds are being invested in Basingview, our shopping centres and now the leisure park. We're looking to the future and are committed to ensuring that the leisure park remains a regional facility for all our residents to use and for visitors to spend money in Basingstoke. We want a better future for our residents. We want to improve quality of life for people who live here, and part of that is also to keep council tax as low as possible. Airkicks is the start of bringing new facilities and attractions to revitalise the leisure park, and this particular proposal is to develop a coffee facility. We've agreed it as a landowner and as a planning authority as part of the project already, but this is going to cost £750,000 to build, and we are investing our money here to deliver a solid investment return, to keep council tax low, and also to ensure that we are demonstrating commitment to others so that they will have the confidence to invest here in Basingstoke and Dean. We have put the money in ourselves to make sure that this happens. This has great benefits for the community in terms of regenerating the leisure park, providing a new facility, creating local jobs, and delivering a solid return on investment. And I would commend it to Cabinet, Leader.
Thank you very much. Then the first speaker on this paper is, as previously announced, Councillor Keating. You have 2 more minutes.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm not sure that local government money is intended to be a source of building coffee shops. Neither am I sure that this investment will ensure that the restaurant is built. It's already up. We're not building a restaurant. What we're doing is we're taking the risk away from the developer who already wants to get out of it. The leisure park doesn't need another coffee shop. It currently has 8 outlets on one small leisure park where you can get coffee or takeaway coffee. We're going to purchase a building to sell coffee, but we're not in the coffee business, and I do not believe that there has been any analysis of the coffee market, any risk assessment of the coffee market. The original developer, who's just finishing off the coffee shop, now wants to get out of the coffee market himself. I don't believe that we should be in the business of transferring his risk to us. I believe it's the wrong thing for the borough, for local government, and for local government money. So I would ask you to reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jarwood. I think we'll just take them individually one by one.
Thank you, Leader. I'd make the point that this is money that we're investing to keep council tax low. It's possible for anyone to argue that money should be spent elsewhere or that it should be invested elsewhere, and those two things are very different, of course. But this money that we are allocating for investment to this proposal will deliver a 9.3% return on investment. And it's investments like this that allow us to keep council tax as low as it is. Only 5% of what we spend on services comes from council tax. Much more comes from investment. And we need to ensure that we continue to make investments like this and others to fund services without raising council tax. We've done this elsewhere, for example with the Southam Medical Centre, which was a good investment under the same principles as this. It was funding a building project which delivers an investment return for the council, keeping council tax low. And for that reason, I would submit that this project should go ahead because it will do just that.
Supplementary? A question, that is.
I understand. Can I just say that this is a risky business opportunity. That's what it is. We're not in the coffee market. There is no evidence in the paperwork that we've analysed the coffee market. There is no assessment of the risk in the coffee market. We are not in the business of doing it, and the paperwork suggests otherwise. You're confusing risk and assessment and other things with the equivalent
Have a
of
question, please.
saying, I'm sorry, are you not confusing the risk of the coffee market with trying to get a rate of return on any type of project? This is not the kind of project, and if it is, are you not obliged to have a proper risk assessment and a proper market comparison on the issue? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Keating. I'm glad you referred to the paper because in point 5.6 it refers to the fact that we commissioned experts to advise us on this, and they have advised us that this deal is representative of best value to the council. Therefore, I'm confident that I can recommend this to Cabinet.
Thank you, Councillor Keating. Next we have Councillor Harvey. Do be careful with your coffee. Right, do you have 2 minutes?
Thank you, Leader. Well, I'm asking you tonight to listen to the people who voice their concerns over spending £800,000 to buy this Costa coffee. We believe that it's not a proper use of public money, especially given the financial pressures the council is under. It's going to take you over 12 years to get the initial outlay back, and it's going to cost, and potentially not cost, Airkicks £800,000 to build the coffee shop. But because of the deal and the way the paperwork was presented at EPP on Tuesday night last, they're going to pocket the difference. And seeing it already under construction, it is surprising to hear that it would cost £800,000. People are angry to see you cutting the CAB, to see you cutting community schools, cutting funding to the voluntary sector, and justifying that by telling them that the budgets are tight. And here we see a capital pot, a very valuable capital pot, being used to buy a coffee shop, which we won't see a return on for over a decade. The business case itself doesn't add up if you look at the actual detail, and the social good is extremely limited. So there's no way you can morally justify this set against the other kind of cuts that you've asked people to accept. People who run charities have been turned down for funding because they've told us how furious they are on capital, on intentions to try and do good in our community. Businesses in the top of town are angry because they've seen the increases in the car parking charges. And you're only going to spend £600,000 on the top of town over the next 3 years, so really it doesn't compare. And whether you're a startup business, investment in innovation, or businesses in the top of
30
town,
seconds.
environmental renewables or social enterprises, there are far better things to spend the £1.25 million on than this. Last night, the Basingstoke youth movement, who put a petition calling for an indoor skate park on the leisure park, were told that there was no money available and that they were looking for a lot less than the £800,000. Indeed, Councillor Mrs Osselton told them that the group and effectively told the group the Conservatives were not about setting up private enterprises. Well, this is the exact opposite in the context of the decision you're looking to take. I would ask you to think again.
Councillor Jarwood.
Thank you, Leader. I'm pleased that Councillor Harvey referred to capital, because it's very important that we do not mislead people inadvertently by confusing capital and revenue spending. It is one thing to talk about revenue reductions, and that's something that is affecting all of local government, as we have to tighten our purse strings, as many households are also having to do. But in terms of capital, we are investing money here, and it's important to have a distinction between investment and spending. It's very easy to spend money, and once it's gone, it's gone. We are investing money here to generate a return, and there is a clear business case that will deliver that return after 11 years. Now, I would ask, do Labour not want to maintain the borough's reputation for a quality leisure park? We've drawn in the investment from Air Kicks. We're funding an investment proposition here to deliver another facility on the leisure park as part of the beginning of a journey to take the leisure park forward into the 21st century. This is economic vitality in action, and I would suggest that it's a healthy investment that will keep our council tax low.
One supplementary question.
Thank you, Leader. Wouldn't you agree, though, that this council's had a long history of revenue into capital? It's had a long history of manoeuvring budgets around the place. And in the context of reserves, or in the context of what you should put the money to use for, I think it's incredibly important, would you not agree, that where you are asking agencies like the CAB or agencies and charities in the voluntary sector to take cuts, that you should give them consideration first before you start spending 800 grand on a coffee shop. The point being that you are going to spend the money. You are blowing £800,000 on a coffee shop, and we ain't going to see a return for 11 years. And there are far much better uses that provide a better social return. For example, like the doctor's surgery, which is an excellent example, actually, of what this money can be used for. And would you not agree with just a couple of people who have signed our petition? To quote Carolyn Heath from Basingstoke, "This is a frivolous use of taxpayers' money when austerity measures mean there are many cases of need than ever before. I strongly object to such a large sum being used in this manner."
I think we've got the question now, thank you.
Okay. If I leave it's okay, I'll leave you the comments, because we've had over 158 people sign the online petition with an awful lot of comments that are relevant, and I'll also leave you with the paper petition as it is at the moment with over 200 signatures on it. So in 4 days we've raised 370 signatures that say, please think again, we do not want you to buy this coffee shop.
Leader, I think it's very important to just draw reference to one point that Councillor Harvey made. We're not seeing the benefit for 11 years, or words to that effect. I think that demonstrates how some people perhaps haven't understood the concept that's in front of us today, which is to generate, through adding the income that the council received from air kicks for building on our land, and providing the indoor skydiving and ski facility, plus this, we're going to be receiving in excess of £100,000 per annum, which can be used to provide ongoing service delivery, and during a period of very low interest rates. This is a good use of our money to protect the very services that Councillor Harvey is talking about. We are committed to providing the services that residents of Basingstoke and Dean want. We are also committed to keeping our council tax as low as possible. Investing in projects like this will do just that.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Councillor Tilbury. Good evening to you, and if I press the button, nothing happens. Hang on. There we go. Right, now you have 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. As you would expect, as a member of the Leisure Park Members Advisory Panel, I support the original decision to lease the land to Airkicks to build their facility and their coffee shop, because I don't think there's any dispute over that. This made economic sense as it currently generates no income for the council, whereas this proposal does. the land of the original proposal. Under the previous proposal, the coffee shop element would generate £15,000 each year at no cost or risk to the council, and that seems to have been forgotten. This new proposal, while superficially attractive, does not. Firstly, we have only been presented with the rental income and potential increases for the latest proposal. We have no comparable figures for the original. In reality, there are two options. With the original proposal, we don't purchase the building, so we don't have to release capital to fund it. The £786,000 stays in the bank and generates interest. Even at the current low interest rates, that's around £30,000 a year, on top of which we will receive the £15,000 in rent, so that's around £45,000 a year. So over a 20-year period, our original £786,000 with compound interest would be worth about £2.2 million, with no real risk. Even if we ignore any interest receipts, the rental yield alone over 20 years is at least £300,000, and probably more. So our original £786,000 would have become £1.1 million. But under these new proposals, we immediately spend £786,000 to buy what appears to be a rather overpriced building, the point I made at EPP, the cost of which we will not recover for at least 11 years. So until that time, we generate no interest on our investment, and over 20 years we would generate considerably less in profit, around £784,000, and we would then be the owner of a 20-year-old coffee shop of debatable value. I have no idea what a 20-year-old coffee shop would be worth in 20 years, but unless it is worth £1.4 million at today's prices, this would appear to be a very poor investment for the taxpayer with considerable risk attached. And while I was having a tea break earlier, not a coffee break, I did put them into a spreadsheet, and the figures just don't seem to add up. But the question I would have at the end, thank you, the supplementary question is, if we go to page 1 of 1, it suggests in there that unless the council funding to purchase the asset, the council's funding to purchase the asset will ensure that the restaurant element of the development will be constructed, and without such funding, the intervention that would otherwise be questionable. Well, as Councillor Keating pointed out, and as I notice as I drive by every time I come to the council, it's virtually finished. So I don't think that's correct. It may have been correct at the time. This actually was in the EPP report, so could we have some sort of clarity on that? Because to say that it's questionable seems unlikely when it's actually nearly built. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. I think you've got your first statement and your supplementary all in one go, so it makes it tidy, if nothing else. So would you like to respond to both of those?
Well, thank you, Leader. I'm pleased that Councillor Tilbury referred to the Leisure Park map, where we have taken forward our programme to transform the Leisure Park by drawing in external investment and developing new attractions. That's a priority in the council plan, and I believe it's the right decision that we have taken. This is us putting our money where our mouth is. If we're not prepared to invest in the leisure park, why should the private sector? We're committed to improving economic vitality by encouraging businesses to locate in Basingstoke and bring new employment. This proposal does that. Now, as the leisure park grows, as the leisure park faces the regeneration that we want to see delivered, more visitors will be drawn to the leisure park, and it's right that we provide new facilities now that will deal with that demand that we're planning to see delivered. In respect of the building that's underway with Air Kicks, the fact is that Air Kicks can take a commercial decision at any point to deliver what they see is in their commercial interest. It's in this borough's interest that we invest properly in the leisure park to ensure it remains a regional facility. It's in this borough's interest that we create those new jobs and demonstrate to the private sector that Basingstoke's a place that they can do business. And it's in this borough's interest that we deliver a strong investment return on some cash that has been set aside for this purpose. Invest to Grow is designed to allow us to invest in buildings, delivering a strong investment return. I believe that this scheme's in the borough's interest, and I continue to recommend it to Cabinet.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Tilbury. Members, do we have anyone who wishes to comment? Councillor Raffel.
Well, yes, I just want to point out the obvious to those who do know this already, but for reasons of their own have chosen not to mention it. We are, as a borough council, in the business of owning property, renting property and gaining income from it. And some of those businesses that we own sell coffee, sell food, sell clothes, as well as employ many people in different businesses. So there's nothing different about this at all. All we are doing is transferring money for which currently is doing very little into property where it can do a lot more for us and for the residents of this borough by generating an income. And I, for one, support that.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Right, I will just add my 2 penny within. I do find this something of a storm in a coffee cup. It's that I think it's. I actually didn't think about it at all. It just came out one day. But I think it has been, I was going to say, whipped up unnecessarily. And I could go on at great length in this vein, but I won't. But I do sometimes stop and ask myself, which part of putting money into an investment which will inevitably appreciate over time and give incremental capital value to the council, and at the same time produce a return nearly 3 times the level that we currently get on our investments, don't you want? That is a good deal on both accounts for the residents of this borough, and that's quite without looking at the value of having a very good coffee place to go and rendezvous with your friends, and for that matter the really key thing that shows that we are committed to rebuilding one of the great assets that the borough has, which is the leisure park. And I hear what is said about this questionnaire, or rather the petition, but when I read the petition I must say, very disappointed and thought it very shallow. It's a very strange petition that confuses a lot of revenue and other items, talks about cuts to the CAB without mentioning the additional £500,000 that we have made available to support people who the CAB are supporting, and money which will be available to the CAB to bid for under a commissioning process to give additional services if they need to. So we are funding the community in that way. This is, I think, neither does it mention all these other benefits that I've just been through. A very one-sided case to put forward. I find actually putting a very one-sided case to try and justify your own political position is shallow in the extreme, if not actually deliberately misleading. And since we've sat and listened to you very quietly, I think you might do the same to me. But that said, I think this is a great deal. It's a sign of things to come, because I think we have to be brave in this borough. We have to start investing in our own future and utilising our resources to build things for the future, and which will benefit the community either in terms of jobs or facilities. If we bury our heads in the sand and say we can't afford to do this, it's a risk to do that. We will atrophy as a local area where we live and as a community. That will be an appalling thing to have hanging around your neck. It did happen for 11 years, not so long ago. I'm determined that it won't happen while at least we're in power. So I fully support this. And can I take it that the other members of the Cabinet are in agreement? I know Councillor Raffel is. Good. Great. Thank you. Then we will move on to the next item, after my little rant there, which is the Aldermaston Road Triangle site proposed disposal, paper C, which we have 2 speakers. If I can ask Councillor Statham for Rooksdown Parish Council to come forward first, Councillor, and I'll ask Councillor Isaac to introduce it, and then you will have 2 minutes, as I'm sure you've seen now in the process. Councillor Isaac.
Thank you, Leader. The Aldermaston Road Triangle site is an important potential housing site for the borough. It's 6.17 acres. It's a site that remains as part of the SAVE policy under the adopted local plan from 1996 to 2011. It's a site that was proposed for mixed use with up to 300 residential units. At a time of increasing housing pressures, it's important that we provide new homes, flats, affordable housing, family units, and it's inappropriate that this council sits on this asset. Bringing things to this point we've been alert to the problems of the past, the previous proposed disposal, which was started in 2005, particularly overdevelopment, highways issues, impact on neighbours. I'm very pleased to note that we had all party support recently at the EPP OSCOM for these proposals. The objective is to go to market with a brief that is not overly prescriptive, but designed to promote a well-designed, largely residential development, looking for creative proposals from the marketplace, but with safeguards. It's important this site is brought forward. The aim is to deliver a desirable scheme for our residents, to offer them the necessary homes. So I recommend this proposal to Cabinet.
Thank you, Councillor Isaac. Councillor Statham, you have 2 minutes.
Ruxton Parish Council politely request that with regards to Appendix 8, the highway matters, that the Cabinet make it mandatory within the brief that you push out that there is to be no direct access from this development into the main Ruxton estate to deter rat running. Secondly, that any additional traffic management takes into account the results and actions from the recent AMPR tracked traffic survey that's been held in Ruxton and the hospital area. Also noting that Section 106 monies have already been transferred to Hampshire County Council in line with the planning application BDV 056726 dated 15th of September 2003 for traffic management in that area that has not yet been carried out. Thirdly, to request that the development has a footbridge linking this area to Marnell Park, to encourage attendees of the hospital to avoid from the future Marnell Park development to avoid driving to the hospital due to the current severe parking issues at the hospital, currently resulting in hospital attendees and staff parking within the Ruxton development already. Finally, for the council to ensure that the statutory public body for this area, i.e. Ruxton Parish Council, is mandatorily
30 seconds.
Involved in the pre-application consultancy, which is contrary to what you have in your document where you only reference consulting the ward councillor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Statham. Councillor Isaac, do you wish to respond?
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Statham. I fully understand where your concerns are derived from on these issues like rat running and highways issues and the idea of a footbridge. What I would say is that certainly these are things that we will look at. Clearly they're technical issues and we'll need some analysis made of them, but I'm hearing what you say, so we will do what we can to take account of that without invalidating the viability of the development. And certainly I look forward to consulting with you in future along with the ward councillor.
There speaks the husband of somebody who is chair of a parish council. So I think there's no escape in that particular issue. Did you have another supplement? Please go ahead.
The recent traffic survey that has been conducted within the area is now within the hands of Basingstoke and Dean Chief Planning Officer Mike Townsend, and there are currently proposals afoot on implementing either the 2003 planning application and also potential changes to it following the road layout since 2003 in the area. This is part of Hampshire County Council's brief, and the meeting will take place on the 12th of June to drive forward with that plan of action. The supplementary question associated with that is, will you be ensuring that you are involved in that process, and also that prior to generating the brief for this, that you will actually study that survey that's been carried out?
Thank you, Councillor Isaac.
Yes. You're giving me information here that I'm not aware of, as far as the traffic survey is concerned. But on the assumption that it has relevance to what we're proposing here, then of course I will look to the officers to take account of that and to make their recommendations to me.
Right. Members, anybody wish to add anything? Speak. Oh, have I got another speaker? Oh, I have. I'm terribly sorry, Councillor Reid. It's such a long time since we've seen you. My apologies for leaving you out. I was just getting so excited there. Right. Well, I don't need to tell you the form, but I will press my little button to get it back to 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm picking up on the point that Councillor Statham made as the chairman of the parish council, and I speak as the Hampshire County Councillor for the area. There's recently been a traffic survey conducted in Rooksdown, and what it found actually confirmed a lot of the things that we've suspected. About 50% of the traffic that runs through the Rooksdown estate is not generated by Rooksdown residents. So it's people running from the A340 to the A339 or back again, and it is people going to work. So there's a lot of people who work at the hospital who are using Rooksdown as a rat run, in effect. The solution to that problem is going to be affected by what happens at the Lodge Junction, that's the junction of the Hospital Road with the A340, and by what happens to the northern part of Priestley Road that runs parallel with the A340. So the solution that is going to be needed to protect the interests of Rooksdown are going to be very much affected by what comes down on this planning application. Now, I think it's brilliant, therefore, that you are going for a non-prescriptive development brief, because what I'm hoping you would be willing to do would be to say to the developers, we want you to consider these problems in coming up with whatever solutions you want, and we want you to think sideways and every which way round this issue with a view, thank you, with a view to improving the experience of the residents of Rooksdown with regard to the rat running, and that way you can get lots of good ideas coming through. The other thing which I would commend to you is please ask the developers to show respects for the hospice, which was one of the points which was felt not to have been sufficiently respected in the previous condition that was turned down.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Councillor Isaac.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Yes, well, just dealing firstly with the hospice, that's very much the forefront of our thinking. As far as ensuring that the developers take account in any schemes they come forward about the issues of rat running and highways generally, yes, I agree entirely, and we've already built that into how we're proposing to put together the brief. And I'm grateful to you for acknowledging that that by having a non-prescriptive brief, that's a good way of going forward on this. Obviously, the hospital exists; people have to get to it, and so there are inevitably going to be traffic pressures there. But the extent to which we can alleviate things here, I'm very keen that we should do everything we possibly can in that direction.
Thank you very much. Right. Do you have another? That's fine. Good. In which case, members, any comments to make, or are we happy with the proposal? I think it got general support at committee the other night, and as this is for a very non-prescriptive brief, I think the real work will come when we get the response to that particular brief. So we agreed, members? Yep. Good, thank you very much. Can I just give you fair warning that we will have one other item which I should have taken under urgent items, but I've forgotten to write it down, which is to actually elect our 3 members of the Moneydown Executive Committee. But we'll do that a bit later on. We'll move on instead to item 14, which is the Basingstoke Town Centre programme, and Councillor Giles Warden is to introduce.
Thank you, Leader. Basingstoke is a strong town, and this is about building on our strengths, especially to support business. There's been lots of national publicity about the Mary Portas Fund, and we were pleased that we secured £100,000 of that money. But having listened to the consultation results that came back following winning that money, we felt that that was not enough. We felt that we ought to do more. And that's why this council is presenting this evening a town centre programme, setting out over the next 2 years what we will do for the top of the town and the wider town centre, setting out that we will spend over £600,000 on improving our central area. We invested already in a shopping centre to attract new retailers. We're trying to do that again. We want to ensure that we're working with the new owners of Festival Place to build on that as a great asset for our town. And that's why this town centre programme sets about smartening up the area, making it a place to go to, not go through. It's a view for the future. It's setting out clear deadlines by which projects must be completed. It's setting out something that the public can hold us to account for. I believe it's a good programme, setting us on the right track to bring the top of the town forward for the 21st century. And with that, I commend it to Cabinet.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else wish to add anything? I think I would just make the point very clearly that this is what I see as being a stage one of the whole process. This is short-term things to be done to get an immediate improvement in the nature of the top of the town. That said, I think it is worth just recording, since I think this is our first cabinet since it happened, that we have been awarded the purple flag, and the top of the town is regarded as being one of the its strengths of being remarkably clean and tidy and a pleasant place to go by the inspectors for the purple flag. So it's not as if we're starting from a dismal situation. What we're looking to do is to really get a step change to improve it even further. But none of that takes away from the fact that we do need to grapple with the issue that we've been talking about. In fact, administration after administration has been talking about grappling with the question of how do we really revitalise the whole of the town centre, and particularly the top of the town. And it's those exciting plans which will have to be done with tremendous amount of consultation and in partnership with a lot of other interested players. But it's those plans that I look forward to seeing, I hope, later on this year, and at least in terms of outline ideas for consultation and discussion. And that, I think, will be a very interesting step forward. But this is something to get on with, to be done now or over the next 3 years, and I think it's very applaudable, very laudable. So we agree. We're happy. Good. Thank you. Right, then we will come back to the urgent item here of the appointment of 3 members to the Manydown Executive Committee. Councillor Raphael, it's very nice to welcome you to the Cabinet as your first Cabinet meeting, and to tell you that you can't be on this. So, no, so that's ruled you out for a start. So, Councillor Jai Wardner, as you were previously the chair of this particular group, your 2 other members that you're selecting to take with you are going to be?
I would nominate Councillor Isaac and Councillor Finney.
Is that accepted, first of all? Yeah, and then agreed. Fine, thank you very much. Okay, last item then on the agenda is item 15, matters dealt with by portfolio holders under delegated powers. For noting, noted, in which case the meeting will close at 7:13, I think it is. Thank you.